Hi everybody, and today is a very special episode of Patch Logs. So, I finally found a satisfying way to control tonality across multiple different players within TidalCycles, and I want to share it with you. So, if you are to play a tonal melody or, a harmony, chords, anything in Tidal really, you might want to use scale, which is a very powerful function which takes a pattern and replaces the integer values within that pattern with the according pitches of a scale. Just to show you the difference, let's play a melody of 4 notes. So yeah, not too interesting. Now, if instead of this pattern we pass scale minor and the actual pattern, instead of the 4 first chromatic notes, we are going to get the 4 first notes in the minor scale. A bit more interesting. Now, instead of the first 4 notes, let's make an arpeggio. So I want the root, the third, the fifth, and the octave. Okay. Bear in mind that intervals are indexed at 1, and here we index it at 0. So when you read 0 to 4, 7, really what you're reading is the first, the third, the fifth, and the octave. So in traditional theory, a key is comprised of a root and a mode. And here we are only talking about the mode. So this brings us to a function that I write almost every time I'm going to play, which is tonal. Tonal offsets the melody by a root and plays the melody within a certain scale, which is the mode parameter. With this function, I can now write the same thing I wrote above, but instead of writing note and passing the scale and offsetting it, I can just say tonal 0 minor, and I pass it the pattern. So, and it plays the same thing. And now if I want to control the root, I can just change this number. So this is great, but I still have a problem, because if I'm playing multiple players at once and they all play tonally, and I want to change the key across all of them, I have to go through one by one and change the number or the name of the scale. It's very likely that I'll make a mistake while typing and the sequence will not parse and I'll be stuck. Instead, I wanted a way to refer to a global key, so I came up with a function called T. Before we can use T, we need to set the key that T will use. So here I'm setting 0 and minor, and once that's set, we can play the melody. And what's great is that now I can change the key without having to change the actual pattern code. And this is especially useful when I am dealing with multiple lines at once. For me, this works great, and I'm going to show you how it's implemented so you can change it if you so desire. Here, this might seem complex at first, but it's really quite simple. So I have these 4 functions on the top, which are getters and setters for the global mode and root. So set S sets a string to the Tidal global dictionary, and similarly set F sets a float value. So I'm basically setting a global underscore mode and a global underscore root on the global dictionary. And I can later retrieve those values by the C functions. So get global mode, since it's a string, I have to use CS. And I have to pass in a fallback, which is chromatic. So really what this means is that unless I define a specific mode or scale, whenever I use T, it'll play a chromatic scale, which really makes a lot of sense because first, it's the default behavior of note, And second, in Western music, it's a sensible fallback. Similarly, here I'm using CF to set a float value. I'm passing a 0 as a fallback so that unless you set the key, T will behave in the same way as note. So here we have the exact same definition of tonal, which I had before. And finally, T is a function that calls tonal with the global root and the global mode. And the bonus here is that CS and CF, since they read from the dictionary, first, they're dynamic. That's why I can change it on the fly. And second, it's patternable. So if instead of passing a single root or a single mode, I wanted to pass a sequence of them, I can very easily do so. So now you have to be aware that T will be affected by fast. So that's why this key is running twice on the chords, but it's not on the bass or the melody. So keep that in mind when you're writing patterns for set key. Now finally, the definition of set key, it just receives the root and the mode, and it calls set global mode and set global root, setting both of the values at the same time. In the future, one thing that I definitely want to do is to, instead of saying global here, maybe setting different tonal fields at the same time so that different players can refer to them, and in this way I can achieve polymodality or polytonality. It really takes minimal effort to get this done. I just need a couple additional functions to receive maybe an index, maybe a name, and set these variables and later refer to them in the same fashion. So I hope this helps anybody who wants to work with tonal composition in Tidal. Definitely feel free again to steal this code from the repository. And yeah, see you guys next time.